You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. Hey, we make a miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. We make a miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you. Hey, we make a miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. That is who you are. Yeah, we make a miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You wipe away all tears. You mend the broken heart. You're the answer to it all. Jesus, you wipe away all tears. You mend the broken heart. You're the answer to it all, to it all. Jesus, yeah. We make miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. We make miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every life. I worship you. Oh, I worship you. You are here, meeting every need. I worship you. I worship you. Oh, did it go Shande Amazeke?
Hello, everybody. My name is Schekinah. I am happy to join you guys today on this special town hall that we're having. The Youth of Shekinah presents Coronavirus Town Hall. Bonsoir tout le monde. I'm content nous ka joindre nous aujourd'hui. Please, everybody, like, comment, and share this video. Share to everybody. Share to your friends, family members. We will be talking about a lot of topics today. We'll be covering a lot. S'il vous plaît, tout le monde, n'a pas essayé de parler en anglais et créole. S'il vous plaît, share, comment vidéo à, voyez pas tout le monde connaît, amis, famille, et merci.
Um, oh, sorry, you couldn't hear me. My name is Udarnley Pierre Lewis. Nom c'est Udanle. I'm an active member of the youth at Schekinah. Obviously, I lead the children's ministry for Sunday school, and I'm also part of the dance team. I'm really happy to be here to talk about, coronavirus because I think it's important that everyone knows about it and does the safe procedures. So, na pale de bagay pour santé nous, et puis pour nous ka, ou konen, just konen bagay de coronavirus parce que c'est plus important. And then now we have Dave.
Hello, everybody. My name David Lewis. I'm in charge of me and my cousin Mesky are in charge of the media ministry and part of the dance ministry as well. And we're just here to give you a few words of encouragement, give you a little insight, some more information that the news is holding from you. We just want to give you a little more information to help you guys out. And yeah.
So we're gonna start off with a prayer, and then after that, we're gonna go straight into the meeting.
Okay, at this time, everybody bow your heads, please, wherever you are. Kounya la m'pa commencer prier, tout le monde, s'il vous plaît, fermez genoux. Heavenly Father, Lord, at this moment, I thank you, God, for allowing us to gather together here at a time like this, at a time where a lot of people can't leave their houses. Some are scared, some have fear, some don't know what to do, they're hopeless. Heavenly Father, Lord, at this moment, I ask that you speak through us, that you speak to your people, that they may get more words of encouragement today. That if anything, that they feel more encouraged, more happy with what we're gonna present today. That they get more knowledge on this virus, and Lord, so they understand what to do and what not to do. Be there for us, and Lord, that it's not us speaking, but it's you using us to speak to your people. Protect us and guide us that we say the right words. And I pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, so premier bagay nou de pale de se what is coronavirus? Ki sa se coronavirus? And well, coronavirus is actually a specific type of disease, and since Skyna's in the health field, she'll tell us more about what it is and where it comes from.
So, coronavirus came from China in a city called Wuhan. So, ko na soti la Chine, no, o province ke le Wuhan. Um, they said that, well, we don't know for sure, but they say that it's transmitted through bats. So, from direct human contact from a bat that had the strain of coronavirus. Now, mind you, the coronavirus itself is like the regular flu, but this strand is different. It's more like a pneumonia type of strand. So it affects your lungs basically. So you'll see visa soti nan Wuhan, on moun yo di ki vini nan contact avec on bat, and basically the bat, transmitted the virus to the person, and that you could get it through airborne. So nan le a, se kon sa ou ka apran, nan le a son moun ki tousse, ou bien li kon tous, if you respire, kon sa ou ka gen coronavirus. So it is airborne, so that's why you have to
Actually,
take.
oh yeah, sorry to interrupt. I actually wanted to say that there's actually a lot of mystery about where it actually came from, because obviously a coronavirus, coronavirus, c'est un bagay qui sorti de yon pet. So, gen yon pil moun ki pense que c'est la gouvernement de la Chine qui prend virus là et puis mette lan dans moun yo pour ka konen, hurt the economy, kill people, obviously. But there's actually been research done on it, and they found that coronavirus came from a lab in Wuhan. And what happened was that one of the people in the lab was working with the virus, and then one of the interns, so one of the new people in the lab, contracted the virus and gave it to their boyfriend or girlfriend, I'm pretty sure. And then after that person got it, they transported it to the meat market, and that's where we started seeing the first cases in China.
And there's a lot of conspiracies too. Some people say it's caused by 5G towers, and but some people say it's a conspiracy. Some people say it's true from the government.
Yeah, and I'd probably say that it's more likely to come from the bat, because coronavirus itself is something that comes from an animal, in this case the bat. So, and most people just agree that it came from that laboratory. So, just in case you're wondering, no, it probably didn't come from any 5G or the government, but it did come from a lab. And there's actually some symptoms of coronavirus, and this is so you could know if you have it and whether you should go to the doctor, because especially during this time, it's not really safe to go to the hospital if you're not 100% certain that you have it. So there are some symptoms. For example, you can have a fever, a cough, and shortness of breath. Like Skyna stated earlier, all the symptoms of pneumonia and a flu are probably the same ones you're going to see with the coronavirus, because it does affect your upper lungs and lower lungs more than anything else in your body. So if you're feeling a cough, if you're feeling hot, you can't breathe well, then that probably means, and if you've come in contact with someone who was sick, then that probably means that you have the virus and you should probably get tested.
And it's different parts of Corona too, because Corona plays with your mind a little bit. It plays mind games on you. There was a man on CNN who was explaining how he was feeling when he got the virus, and it was like he was saying the more that he laid down, the more relaxed he felt. Well, as he was laying down, the more relaxed he felt, his lungs were like glass and it was breaking. But the more he got up and was more active, there was more nausea, vomiting, head, but all that vomiting and headache was saving him than just laying down and watch him die slowly.
Yeah, and it really is like a scary disease or virus, because the symptoms are really bad and they get worse and worse and worse. And actually, you guys might know about the respirators, which are devices that help you breathe if you can't manually do it yourself. Um, what At the point that they have to put you in a respirator, 9 out of 10 people pass away because at that stage it's so bad that the chance that you survive is really low, and that's what's really scary about the disease. But let's actually talk about how it spreads because that's super important too. So if there's a sick person, how am I getting it from that sick person? Or why do people who've never come in contact with others get it? So maybe Skyner can explain that a little
Before I
bit.
talk about that, I'm gonna summarize everything they said in Creole. Coronavirus, sin ou ka ki ve di ou ka gen, sou gen tou, si gon fièv, sou pa ka respire bien, paske virus la se poumon la atake, li fò pa ka respire bien. Li bon sou, ou ka fè ti te, ti remèd, men sou santi ou pa ka respire même, se lè sa ou ka kontakte dokter ou, paske mpa dokter ou pa dokter, li ka vin pi mal e ou ka ren ou pa ka respire même, se lè sa ou ka à l'hôpital. Mais si li pa arrive mal kon sa, s'il vous plaît, ret la ka ou, si ou pa gen pa important pour a faire ou pas doué sorti la caillou même li bon pour être la caillou laisse chance ou ka gen l'or sorti chance la diminuer ça veut dire il pas spread vraiment comme ça sur être la caillou s'il vous plaît.
Et raison pour être la ou parce que c'est parce que coronavirus c'est une disease qui spread easily. How do you say that in Creole? Lee. It's contagious, basically. That's how you say it in English. What that means is that coronavirus spreads, like Skyna said earlier, through particles. So some type of droplet that you touch and enters your mucous membrane. And there's two ways that can happen. First is airborne particles. So if someone, coughs on you, say on tousse, you can get it just from being around that person.
Ça veut dire dans l'air.
So earlier on, people said it wasn't airborne, but as more research comes out, they find out that, if someone does cough near you, you're very susceptible to get it. But the more scarier part of coronavirus is the second way it can spread. And that's when someone coughs and then their cough droplets, let's just say, touches a chair or a table or whatever it is, a cup, and then you touch that, coronavirus can survive on surfaces for a long time. And that's how most people get it. It's not even from breathing the same air. It's from touching stuff and contacting a surface with the virus, and that's how majority of people get it.
And as he said, coronavirus can live on surfaces. Faut nous prendre précaution avec manger. There's food in your fridge that can get contagious, that may have some bacteria on it, that can cause you to contract coronavirus.
Oui, ça veut dire il a non sous-surface pour 3 jours même, ça veut dire porte machine volant machine nous côté tout le monde marie en pile il est important pour nous prendre désinfectant qu'on bleach avec ou mixer avec de l'eau ou bien Lysol spray ou Lysol wipes pour clean toute surface ça moyen en pile ça veut dire pour pas spread more easily. Pour faire précaution avec bail comme ça, il est important pour pas moyen figuer nous en pile, mais moyen genou, moyen nez nous en pile because that's a open airway that it could get in easily mucous membranes. So pas moyen figuer en pile, il faut prendre précaution avec figuer nous, pas moyen figuer nous en pile. Laver mains nous chaque fois nous sortir nous ou bien nous on va nous manger, il est important pour laver mains nous pour 20 secondes.
Wash your hands.
Oui,
Yeah.
avec de l'eau avec soap. So it's important to wash your hands a lot. Like, wash your hands.
And what's really scary about it is you can have coronavirus and not feel any symptoms. Like you can just sit home, relax, you quarantine, listen to everybody quarantine home all day, you never go outside. and you get tested and you get coronavirus. And what's scary about it is you don't feel no symptoms, no flu-like symptoms. Maybe you might have a cough here and there, but yeah,
Oui, ça, David l'a dit, c'est important. Gan pil moun ki gen virus la, yo pa même konnen. Ça veut dire, même là, li pa fait effet nan kon nou, mais nous gen ça veut dire moun ki va to for conclude, you know, their health, they don't have good health, like those that qui gen sucre, ça qui fait surgery, immune suppressed people, their body is not as strong as yours. That means you have to take precautions for them. Pour prendre précaution pour moun qui santé yo pas trop bon, parce que ou ka gen et puis ou normal, mais sous bayol yo ka mourir. So prendre précaution avec famille nous, gen en pile nan nou rete nan kaya qui gen en pile moun qui gen maman, papa, grand-parents, prend précaution parce que même les ou ka gen et puis ou refait, mais si yo gen il ka vin très grave pour yo et puis yo ka mourir.
yeah. Pile monde dit comme ça, like young people, they say old people are more at risk, but that's not true parce que gen ti bébé qui fait venir in the world and they got coronavirus and they died. There's toddlers who got coronavirus and they died. So, faut nous tout prendre précaution. Tout petit monde, tout grand monde, all the old people should be more taking this more serious because they are the ones because their bodies are already breaking down. They're at their last stage of life. So it's coronavirus. That's like its favorite person right there, an old person because that's the person they can break down. So everybody should take take that into consideration and be serious about it. Stay in the house. This is time for you to pray and meditate with your family. God gave you this time to stay home, meditate, read your Bible, pray, and have family bonding time instead of going out all the time.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about this more on later. But before we move on, we just want to clarify. Nous voulons dire que all the information that we're about to say and that we're gonna give you, it's not coming from social media. It's not coming from Wikipedia or Fox News. All the information that we're gonna say during this town hall is coming from the WHO, the CDC, and the NIH, and those are the sources that you as aware citizens should look for, because obviously we want to get the best information and give you the best information. So if you're unclear about something, yes, you can turn on CNN, yes, you can turn on Fox News, but the best place to go is the WHO's website and the CDC.
Ça très important, pas seulement entendre ça, yo voye dans WhatsApp, ça yo voye dans Facebook, et puis nous prendre, et puis nous pas faire research par nous, il est très important. Et pas tout ça y dit nous dans nous là, c'est pas qui vrai. Si vous avez besoin d'informations qui très accurate, visitez website WHO ou bien CDC, Center of Disease and Control, NIH, National Institution of Health. Website ça yo a bien très excusez, information qui très important, qui recent, ça veut dire chaque fois yo gen nou case, c'est dans le website ça on a besoin yo en vend nous joindre yo dans news, dans CNN comme ça yo. So c'est très important pour nous faire research par nous, pas seulement voyer ken vidéo nous ouais bien information nous ouais dans WhatsApp et puis nous voyer comme ça et puis nous pas même lire bien pour nous ça information a dit, pas seulement pense à qui dans mon bouche moun k'ap di nous, mais faire recherche par nous pour nous connaître pour nous peut-être nous ça veut dire vrai.
And when it comes to materials such as masks or gloves, masks are not supposed to be used more than once because you can wear the mask and wear the gloves, go to the store, you touching everything, touching rice, touching frozen foods, ice cream. Those can have bacteria on it and possible coronavirus pathogens on it. So you can contract it. You touch it, you touch your face, or you say hi to your kids or your grandparents or anybody in your home, and you can contract it. And masks are supposed to be thick enough where nothing comes in and nothing comes out. So everybody's buying masks this here and there, but you're supposed to be more mindful of it. Don't use it more than once. Don't wear the gloves more than once. Switch it every time you go out or want to go buy something.
And let's backtrack and talk about the statistics and how much cases there are. And this might surprise you, but as of yesterday, there was 3 million coronavirus cases around the whole world.
3 milyon kes nan tout moun nan.
That's obviously a lot. And a third of it, there are 1 million cases in the US. Yesterday, we just passed 1 million cases.
Sa vle di nan US la selman gen 1 milyon kes ki nan US la selman.
And that's obviously a large part of the whole world, 1/3. And the amount of deaths is almost the same proportion. In the world, there are a few. I don't have the number of deaths in the world, but in the United States, there are 60,000 deaths. And obviously, when this first started, we didn't even have two deaths. Nous pas même gagné deux moun qui mouri. But now we got 60,000 moun qui mouri. And that's obviously a large number, especially since early on, Dr. Fauci, who works with the CDC and the United States Health Department, he said that there would be 100,000 deaths in the U.S., but a lot of people were skeptical because, they hear 100,000 deaths and they're like, that's a lot. That's probably not going to happen. But we're really close to that number. We're at 60,000 deaths. So obviously, this is a very big problem. And in Florida alone, there's more than 1,000 deaths.
1000 moun nan Florida mouri deja nan coronavirus la.
And another thing is whenever you wanna go out and go wherever you wanna go, take the time to think if you should go out and be in the environment, because this is here for us to stay home. Just listen to the police, listen to the government. This is for everybody's safety, and it doesn't matter if you may need some necessities in your house, but be mindful of your health and your family's health.
Sa important an pil. Si nou bezwen soti, si vous vle panse, si vous pa bezwen soti, pa soti. Si vous bezwen ale nan grocery store, ka kompon sa. Men l'autre kote, gan pil kote ki ferme, lem lan route la jodi a, mwen pil machine de a, pa gen store vraiment ki ouvri kon sa. Ba konen pou ki sa tout moun nan l'aria, men s'il vous plaît, ret la kay nou. Et si nou pa ale nan supermarket la, li vraiment important pou nou mette mask la, pou mette gant nan men nou, pou nou protéger tête nou. Et s'il vous plaît, là, fin avec gant, pour retirer pour on jeter pas seulement mettre dans l'arrière comme ça mais pour jeter lui et puis masque là il est important pour ne pas utiliser more than once, so masque là fait pour utiliser une seule fois et puis pour jeter pas reuse the mask. Li pi bon pour ka use un mouchoir pour masque parce que après ou fini ou ka laver mouchoir et puis ou can reuse it. But mask, please only use it once and then throw it out. It's better if you could use something with thick cloth to cover your face, because that way you could reuse it because you can wash it. But a mask you can't wash it and use it again.
Yeah, and let's talk more about the mask and gloves, and then we'll move on to some more statistics. So when it comes to the question of whether you should wear mask and gloves, it's a yes/no answer. We know. Yes, you should wear masks, but according to the CDC, gloves isn't really going to change anything. And you might think, why? When you're wearing gloves, you're protecting your hands. No. When you wear gloves, most people still touch surfaces and then touch their face. So gloves don't really make a difference in terms of whether you get the virus or if you don't. Masks make a big difference, and even though it might not fully prevent you from getting the virus, which a lot of people say, it is good to wear a mask, generally because a lot of states are making it mandated. For Florida, and especially in Miami, in the Miami-Dade County, if you want to go to work or if you want to do an essential item, you have to wear a mask. It's part of law mandates. So that's it for generally like mask and gloves. But now let's move on to some more statistics. Dave mentioned this earlier, but the incubation rate for the virus is 2 weeks. And what that means is that for 2 weeks, you can have the virus, not have any symptoms, and give it to other people. And that's obviously very bad. And then the severity rate, about 20% of people who get the virus, so one in every five people, um, is going to have very severe symptoms. So we talked about the pneumonia like symptoms, being on the hospital bed. David mentioned your lungs being like glass. One in every five people who get it will have those symptoms.
And nous parler de coronavirus par rapport à tout ça nous est sur Facebook, sur WhatsApp, parce que en pile monde, a lot of people are getting encouraged on what they see on social media, and that can drive somebody kind of mad because they don't know what to believe. It's either the government or what they see on the internet, and the internet is pretty proactive.
And obviously we have to be wary about where we can get our information from, and that's why we suggest whenever you see something on WhatsApp, on social media, always double check it with the official sources. And we're gonna actually move on and talk about something else because we kind of covered mask and gloves. We talked about how the statistics, and we also talked about being aware of social media, but there's still a large part of a lot of stuff we haven't talked about, and we're gonna move on to that. So, what is the treatment like for coronavirus? If you have it, what can you do? And Sky will talk more about that.
So right now there is no current cure for it. They are doing trials, medication trials right now for it that are still ongoing. A lot of you know that it's been on the news that some people have recovered by using hydroxychloroquine. If I'm saying it correctly, sorry. Hydroxychloroquine. Basically, that's a drug that's used to treat malaria and lupus. A lot of people's help a lot of people, but at the same time, they're not sure yet. That's why it's under trial still, because some people do recover and some people it makes them worse. So there's no right cure right now. All they're trying to do is if a patient is can't breathe at all, they're trying to put them on respirators. Sorry. And incubate them basically to open up their airway passageway so they could breathe better and try to make them just feel better to recover because there's really no cure right now for it. There's also no vaccine. They have started to develop some, but vaccines take about a year or more than that just to go through trial before it could come in the market. So we're not going to see a vaccine for another year, basically. So because everything right now is still under trial. Some things that they do at the hospital, if you do have it, they try to give you IV fluids, to get your fluids up, the respirators, like I said before, and just to alleviate your symptoms because there's really nothing much they can do. It's really up to your body and your immune system because the most people that recover from it is because they have a good immune system, so they're immune to it and their immune system can attack it and they don't feel any symptoms really and they can feel better from it, while others they don't have a good immune system. That's why I say it attacks people with pre-existing
Health
diseases and immune
conditions.
suppressed people more than it does with people that have healthy bodies. So it is important to drink your teas, to eat healthy meals, because just in case you do ever get it, if you have a good immune system, it's not going to affect you as much.
So obviously, what the takeaway from what Skynet just said is that there is no cure and there is no vaccine. So what that means is that your first step, premier bagay ou doit faire, is stay safe so you don't get it. Because if you do get it, it's all up to God, and obviously we're praying for everyone who does have it. But what there is, is there are ways to alleviate it. So that's obviously what they're doing in the hospitals right now. Gende bagay docteur yo ka fe pour faire your symptoms plus facile or plus doucement. So you're kind of better. They alleviate your symptoms, and they can do that in a few ways. They have respirators which help you breathe. They can give you IV fluids, which are obviously good if you can't really take a lot of liquids in, and they can give you the common things to stop coughing and those type of treatments, and that helps you so you can get better. But obviously it's not fail safe because there is still a large mortality rate from the virus, as we've seen close to 1 million people die worldwide. And David will actually mention, and there's also testing. So we're gonna actually talk about what testing is. So when you get the virus, you want to get tested. So you can know if you have the virus and whether you should isolate. And we're gonna talk more about isolation further on, but there are two different types of tests with the virus, and there's an antibody test and there's a test to see if you have the virus. We're gonna first talk about the test to see if you have the virus. And you might have seen this on WhatsApp or social media, but basically what they do is they take a cotton swab, an applicator, et puis yo mette el nan nail, so they put the swab in your nose, and then they bring it to a testing site. So yo pon applicateur sa, yo te mette an the nail, et puis yo voye l ba yon testing site, et puis yo check it si yo ka wè si yo gen virus la. So after that cotton swab has made it to the lab, they see if you have the virus. The problem is that this can take up to 1 to 2 days. A month ago, it took a whole week, but now it takes 1 to 2 days. And depending on the place where you're at, it can only take a few hours. So obviously, testing has gotten better, but the biggest problem is the amount of tests we have. So the U.S. by far has the largest amount of the most cases, but we're falling behind almost every single other country in terms of testing. We don't have the amount of testing kits required to meet up with the amount of cases we have, and that's obviously a big problem.
Sometimes testing can be kind of difficult too, because some people have corona, some people don't. So it's a big crowd of people trying to get tested, and they're rushing to get tested. And meanwhile, while you're trying to get tested, you can possibly get it, and when you get it, then it's kind of a heartbreak for you and your family.
So with testing, you obviously have to stay safe, and so like David mentioned, it is gonna be crowded, but now they're doing a sort of testing where it's cars. It's like kind of like a drive-through. Like if you know to go to McDonald's and you want to get a meal, you go through the window. That way you don't have to come into contact with anyone. They do the same thing with testing. You go through a car line and they test you for that. So obviously that's helping people stay safe.
I know for Broward County, they're currently doing testing at CB Smith Park. That's in Pembroke Pines. Going pour Broward County, il a fait test ko ou seulement ou nan machine ou mais yo vini nan machine et puis yo bo applicateur et puis ou mette nan nen ou pour ba yo. Il a fait dans CB Smith Park in Pembroke Pines. So you could, if you want to get tested, sou vle tester, mais seulement sou vle, mais it's not required of you. But if you do, sou vle fè test la, ou ka ale nan CB Smith Park la, et puis ya fè pou.
And also I want to talk a little bit more about how much people who are getting tested are having it. So a general guideline, if you want to be safe in your country needs to be doing so many tests that 1 out of every 10 people, so 10% of the people who test are positive. But the U.S., 1 out of every 5 people who tested, 20% nan moun yo kap fè test gain coronavirus. And what that means is that we're not doing enough tests and we need to have more tests. And obviously that is something that the government, the governors, Andrew Cuomo, Dr. Fauci, they're all working very hard to do. So you don't have to worry about tests so much. And if you are showing the symptoms we mentioned earlier, if you live in Pembroke Pines, go to CB Smith Park, and you could actually search up locations to get tested near you if you don't live in Pembroke Pines. So just stay safe. It's better to stay safe than sorry. And now we're going to talk about some of the myths circulating coronavirus and what is the reality around them. So the first myth is that the flu is very similar to coronavirus. Tina, you can probably enlighten them on why it's not like the coronavirus.
The difference between the flu and the coronavirus, the flu is more like, coughs and like it is similar in some ways, but the main difference is coronavirus attacks your lungs. It's a pneumonia like symptoms. So it attacks your lungs basically, so you can't breathe. The difference is that with the regular flu, yes, you're gonna have similar symptoms as if you had corona, but the major difference is gonna be that the pneumonia-like symptoms, because it's gonna be your lungs that are gonna be affected, making it that you can't breathe well. So avec coronavirus là, les attaque poumon, so it's not like regular flu.
And there's also another big difference, and this is probably the most important one. With the flu, there are vaccines and there are ways to actually stop the flu if you have it. Every single year, scientists comes out with a new vaccine for the flu. That means that if you're exposed to it, you won't get it. Or medications that you take it and you have the flu and you're probably not gonna die. Obviously, in other countries, the treatment is less worse. But in the US, we have good ways to counteract the flu. But with the coronavirus, as Skyna mentioned earlier, there's no vaccine and there's no cure. So if you get it, it's it's really gonna be it's gonna be life changing and you're gonna be on the brink of death. And obviously we wanna keep the tone good and we're gonna talk about why you're probably gonna be good even if you get the coronavirus. But
Ça
there's
veut
this
dire, avec flu, gen vaccine pour lui, gen traitement pour lui. Mais avec corona, pas gen traitement pour lui, pas pour gen vaccine pour lui.
Yeah. And also the coronavirus, I wouldn't say it's more deadlier. Well, I would say it's more deadlier because the flu, there are a lot of cases for the flu and a lot of deaths for the flu. But the coronavirus, in the matter of a few months, has had 3 million worldwide cases. And I forget the statistics, but I'm pretty sure in like states like Ohio, they have 5 flu deaths every single day. But now they have 40 deaths due to coronavirus every single day. So obviously 40 is greater than 5. The coronavirus is killing more people and at a faster pace every single day, which is tragic.
Oui, ça veut dire qu'on a tué plus moun plus vite que regular flu a tué moun.
And the second myth that David is going to talk about is onions and remedies might help stop the coronavirus.
Now, onions is not really a lot of people. A lot of Caribbean people or Haitian people want to use the onions and put it around the house, and that's not really right because onions can't really contract bacteria. They might a little, but it's not really that much. And when it comes to tea, it depends on what tea you're drinking, what type of image you're intaking. Like garlic is pretty good for you. Um, there's a nasal type of remedy you could use with orange peels, garlic, lemon. You could use that. But when it comes to the onion part, that's not really. It can't really help you like that.
Kwenye bagao puka, like remember is that the onions are good for you, but the onions are good for your immune system. So when you see it on WhatsApp or social media to use onions and oranges and garlic and make teas, that is good because it's helping your immune system, and that's the most important thing to remember. It's that you always want to be doing stuff to help your immune system if you can. I remember right before we went on this whole break from school, my biology teacher told me that she was going to be taking a lot of vitamin C, which obviously is good for her immune system. And the onions and oranges and garlic, like Dave mentioned, are really good for that. And that's why my mom makes a tea every night. And honestly, it is good for people. So that is the good part about the information coming from social media. But the bad part is that they're not necessarily going to stop the virus. They won't heal you, they won't cure you, they won't stop it from happening. But what is good is that they'll help your immune system.
L'ail avec gingembre bon en pile pour immune system parce que they can make it stronger and build it, and garlic plays big roles in a lot of things. It can taste good in food, but it can help you a lot in your body and in your immune system.
And the third myth is that disinfectants like Clorox is gonna help you if you have the virus, by ingesting it. And this is this is actually a myth that came up from Donald Trump mentioned it last week, and I'm gonna talk about it shortly. Don't do that. Obviously, everyone here is pretty aware that you shouldn't put stuff like Clorox and bleach inside of you. But the day after Donald Trump said that, 40 people died by ingesting Clorox. So obviously, gen moun ki tet yo pa bon, so they hear something from Donald Trump, or they hear something similar to that, and they immediately do that, and it's very tragic. 40 people died from doing this. So just stay aware that disinfectants use, it's good to remove the bacteria and wipe surfaces, but li pa bon pour ingest manger or boire. Now we're gonna be talking about antibody testing, and we talked about how there's two types of testing. There's testing to see if you get the virus, and testing to see if you have an antibody. And an antibody, c'est un bagay nan sang qui dit est-ce que ou bon. What that means is est-ce que ou ka fight, how do you say fight, combat virus la. And there are two types of tests. There's a test that tells you if you have the antibody or not, and there's a test that tells you how much antibodies there are. So there's a test that tells you how much antibodies there are. And right now, antibody tests have become very common, and that's very good because you can see if you've got the virus and you're now safe. So I urge you, if you want to know if it's right for you to go out to come in contact with people, to do an antibody test, because it will tell you whether you have the antibodies and the way to fight the virus.
Um, Thank you for joining us today on this town hall that we were having. Um, Another thing, we just want to give you a word of encouragement, and not to be afraid. All of us, we're all Christians. We're all brothers and sisters in Christ, so we should all have faith that we are gonna get through this, and that God is gonna deliver us and help us through this time of crisis. And we should all pray and meditate and read the Word, and to not fall into doubt, and doubting God, or doubting the government, or anybody that's trying to help, because God put certain people here to help us get through these things. But it did say in the Bible that a time like this would come, and it was judgment on your faith, and on what, if you are a true believer in God.
Oui, ça vraiment important dans tout ça, c'est temps pour nous prier avec Christ, pour nous prier, pour nous lire la parole, parce que nous va vraiment sortir comme ça veut dire nous avons plus de temps pour nous lire la parole, pour nous prier avec Christ, pour nous spend time with our families, prendre temps pour nous prier dans la famille, pour nous lire la parole avec la famille, nous, pour nous juste parler avec nous pas catch up avec long time. Right now I'll be reading Psalm 23 verse 4, and it says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff that comfort me. Basically, in this time like this, even though it is scary, we don't know what's gonna happen. We should have faith in God that He's gonna help us through this. In times like this, if you feel like you're feeling down, please contact somebody in the church or a member to help pray with you, or speak to others. It is a time to speak up, not just isolate yourself. Because yes, we're gonna isolate to not spread the virus, but we're not gonna isolate ourselves where we just stay to ourselves and we don't reach out to people if we are in trouble. So if financially you're struggling, emotionally, it is the right time to seek out help from others and just be encouraged.
And if you do need help to seek encouragement, Shekinah Church always has church services on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram every single Sunday, and there's a lot of other services available. So check out the Shekinah of Miramar YouTube page and um and friend Shekinah on Facebook. That way you can always keep in contact with the church and you can do prayers with us. We have prayers, we have services, we have louange, we have all those stuff. And now we're gonna close with a prayer. So if you're here with us, I'm watching. Just pray with us in your room, and I'll lead us into prayer. Father, Lord, we glorify your name. We thank you for allowing us to be here. We thank you for allowing us to survive, Father, Lord. Thank you for allowing us to be here and all our friends and families. During this time, we are farther from the church physically, but the church are the people, Father, Lord. The church is those who love you. So I ask that you bring the church closer to you during these times. What that means is spiritually, allow us to indulge in your word. Allow us to indulge in the past preaches we've heard, Father, Lord. Allow us to stay closer to you instead of farther to you, Father Lord. There are a lot of people suffering right now, a lot of people who have the virus that we talked about today. But I know, Father Lord, as you said in Psalm 23, verse 4, you are a rod, you are a staff that comforts us. What that means is that you're so great that nothing can ever stand against you, Father Lord. And I hope that everyone who is here today may take this one thing away from today's lesson, which is that with you, we shouldn't be afraid of nothing because you are the rod that we can stand on. I thank you for allowing us to be here, and I thank you for everyone who watched with the service that we gave. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Bye, everyone.